In the previous video, we showed how to install a tile backsplash. In this third video, we will install the sink and the faucet. Before we begin, I want to caution you that working with plumbing can have risks, and it's important to take the necessary precautions to protect your home. If you're not comfortable with plumbing or lack the necessary skills and tools, it's best to seek the help of a professional plumber. Keep in mind that water damage can be costly, so please take this project seriously and be certain you know where and how to shut off the water to your house. In our case, we had valves installed so we can shut off water to each bathroom and the kitchen independently. When it comes to DIY plumbing, you really don't want to work under pressure. With that said, let's dive into how to properly plumb a sink after installing the bathroom vanity. You will need a sink, a faucet, a drain, a P-trap, a Marvell fitting, PVC pipe cement, and 2 quarter-turn water valves, at least 2 adjustable wrenches or one of those and a set of box end wrenches, groove locking pliers that can open at least a couple of inches. I happen to really like these Irwin V-Draw pliers since they can grab the wings on the drain fittings really well. If you are replacing an existing vanity, you might have some of these items already. In this installation, we installed an oval-shaped vessel sink. Since those don't have holes for faucets, we bought a tall faucet with an integral control lever. Vessel sinks usually don't have an overflow/vent, so if you are installing one of those, you need to buy a pop-up drain without an overflow. Most vanity vessel sinks have a 1 3/4 inch drain hole, but check to be sure you're getting the right size. Depending on the distance between the countertop and the drain pipe coming from the wall, you might need an extension for the pipe that comes down from the sink, which is called a tailpiece. The tailpiece usually comes with the drain. The tailpiece of the sink slides into the gasket on a compression fitting on a P-trap. A P-trap is the curvy part that dips down below the pipe that comes out of the wall. A P-trap is designed to hold some water so air and sewer gases cannot come back up out of your sink. A Marvell fitting allows the horizontal pipe from the P-trap to slide into the drain pipe in the wall, and it has a gasket to stop water from leaking. If you are installing a Marvell fitting, you probably will use PVC pipe cement to connect the Marvell fitting to the drain pipe. Make sure you get the right kind for white PVC pipe. You can get an all-in-one primer and glue, but the pros use a purple primer before gluing the pipe. Valves for hot and cold water are typically quarter-turn valves. In fact, your local inspector may require that. If you have copper pipe, you can either solder the valve on or use one with a compression fitting. If you are watching this video, I'm guessing you should choose a compression fitting. Either way, you will probably have 3/8 inch tubing running to your faucet, so you will want a 3/8 inch compression fitting on the outlet side of the valve. A small handsaw might be needed depending on how far out of the wall your drain pipe sticks. Unless you're super confident, you probably should have some towels and a bucket. Amy dropped the water lines for the faucet through the hole in the countertop and then tightened the mounting bracket underneath according to the manufacturer's instructions. These instructions vary quite a bit, so make sure you read and follow your instructions. We ran a bead of clear silicone caulk around the hole for the sink drain. A thin bead of the same caulk was put around the bottom of the sink. Once the sink was in place, the drain stopper was dropped through the hole and the gasket and nut were threaded up from the underside. We used mineral spirits to clean up any excess blobs of silicone caulk and cinched the nut under the sink hand tight and used channel locking pliers to tighten it into position. A quarter turn or so was enough. Now that the sink was in place, we cut the water and drain pipes and cleaned the copper so the compression fitting would seal up properly. And we did the same with the PVC pipe, so we could glue on the marble fitting. The copper water pipes were cut using a rotary cutting tool that simply snaps onto the pipe and you twist it around until the pipe comes off. The plastic pipe was cut with a small hacksaw, leaving a couple of inches sticking out of the wall, enough for a marble fitting to slide on. Amy slipped the decorative collars on the water pipes, and we installed the valves with compression fittings. With this style of fitting, you slide the nut and then a brass or plastic ferrule, sometimes called the olive, onto the pipe. Then the valve body slides over the pipe. Using 2 wrenches, Amy tightened the nut onto the valve body, holding the valve in position with one wrench while tightening with the other. This compresses the ferrule around the pipe and makes a watertight seal with the valve. Amy had never done this before, so she was pretty worried about breaking something. And when we turned on the water, we found she hadn't tightened the fittings enough and she got a bit of a shower. But it was a simple task to fix that. The rule of thumb I use for compression fittings on copper pipe is to tighten them finger tight and then about 3/4 of a turn with wrenches. Turn on the water a tiny amount to see if the fitting leaks. If it does, tighten another 1/4 to half a turn and dry the fitting well so you can feel for drips. I do this maybe a couple of times and usually that's enough. If you can't tighten it any tighter and it's still leaking, you may have damaged the ferrule or olive, or it might have a manufacturing defect. In any case, there's nothing to do but take it back and get another one. Drain pipes sticking out of the wall are the most common, but you might find that your drain pipe sticks out of the floor. If this is the case, you might ask your local building plumbing inspector what he expects to see for a P-trap and vent for a vertical drain. Some areas do not allow a P-trap to connect to a drain that goes down through the floor, or what they refer to as an S-trap because it is shaped like an S. S-traps tend to siphon enough water out of the trap to leave a gap which can allow sewer gases to flow up through your sink. and your inspector will almost always tell you this needs to be fixed. Our installation was all new, so we had the drains and vents inspected before we closed in the drywall. If you do your own plumbing for a vanity installation, it's simple. If you buy all the drain parts labeled bathroom and check the diameter with a tape measure just to be sure, then you won't need to go back to your plumbing store and exchange parts. Outer and inner diameter are not the actual measurement for every size of PVC pipe you find in a house, so it's very confusing. Unfortunately, there are at least 3 different sizes for the drain pipes used in bathrooms in the US, so you need to measure the diameter if you have an old installation. Otherwise, you can assume that the PVC drain pipe is 1.5 inches, while the sink drain connection is usually 1.25 inches. That 1.25 inch pipe fits inside the Marvel fitting and can be adjusted in and out. Often, if you buy an all-in-one kit, they come with different size slip washers that will fit onto a couple of sizes of pipe. If you do measure the pipe, the inside diameter, in other words, the distance across the inside of the pipe, is the closest to the nominal size. After the credits, I'll go into a bit more detail about pipe sizes, so stick around if you're interested. Here's another tip. Because everything is adjustable, the vertical drain pipe from the sink does not have to line up with the wall pipe, but the horizontal pipe coming from the P-trap does. If you keep all the fittings loose until you're done, you have quite a lot of flexibility, and you can offset the sink drain quite a lot from that bit that sticks out from the wall. Amy used some purple PVC primer and PVC pipe cement on the Marvel fitting and the drain pipe, and slid that in place and held it for a minute or so until it stuck. You really do need to hold PVC connections in position for a minute or so, or they will start to back out. The Marvel fitting allows you to slip the end of the drain P-trap into the drain pipe and move it in and out as you get everything lined up. You might need to cut the P-trap pipe to avoid sticking it too far into the drain pipe. If it hits the backside of the vertical drain pipe, there isn't enough of a gap for the water to drain out effectively, so you definitely need to cut enough off the end of the P-trap pipe so it doesn't do that. Test fit everything first. Once you get everything lined up, tighten the fittings finger tight, and then use the slip joint pliers to tighten everything 1/4 of a turn. If you want to know how to install a vanity cabinet or tile a backsplash, I'll put links to those videos in the description below. Remember to measure twice, cut once, yell at yourself, go to the home store and buy another part, measure twice again, and cut it correctly this time. More importantly, make sure you get a drain that does not have an overflow if you're using a vessel sink. Make sure you know where to shut off the water to the house, turn off the water to the bathroom before you start, and it works much better if you have a second person helping you turn the water on and off while you are checking for leaks. If you enjoyed this video, or even if you thought it went a little down the drain, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell next to the word subscribe so you get notified when I upload another video. Thanks for watching. So, here's the extra detail I promised about nominal PVC pipe sizes. A lot of folks think the word nominal means ideal, or sometimes it means small or insignificant, but to engineers, the word nominal means in name, or in other words, the name we use. In the case of pipe, the name for the size, not the actual size. If you hear the phrase, everything is nominal, it actually means all the parameters we are measuring are the same as what we planned. So for example, the nominal inner diameter of an 1.5 inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe is 1.590 inches, or a bit over 1.5 inches. The outer diameter of that same pipe is 1.90 inches, or almost 2 inches. The best way to decide what size a PVC pipe is would be to measure the inner diameter, and it is guaranteed to be smaller than the next size up. In other words, a 1.25 inch pipe is between 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches. If it's bigger than 1.5 inches but smaller than 2 inches, it's 1.5 inches. If it's bigger than 2 inches but less than 2.5 inches, it's nominally 2 inches. Round down to the next smaller size. Even better, if you have a competent plumbing store and you tell them what you measured, They'll know the nominal size. This also applies for other types of pipe, such as cast iron, or even, in a really old house, lead pipe.